Kenny Imafidon, my guy. Thank you for coming.
Pleasure, bro.
Welcome to Not Your Everyday Podcast, where we talk about growth moments, the moments you level up, decide to be better and do better. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation. We've been friends for a while now, and I've seen you go from strength to strength, and I am excited for you to share your story on the platform, and also just inspire people, whoever's listening. And I'm going to let you do the intros of who you are and what you do. But I just want to say thank you for coming on the show, and I'm looking forward to it. Cool. So I do this with all my guests. In 1 minute, tell me your life story.
Tight summary. 1 minute.
1 minute.
That's cool. Let's make magic. Let's try.
Let's make magic. Let me reset this clock.
Yeah, reset the clock. Just give a normal 3, 2, 1, and then we'll go. 3, 2, 1, go. Cool. My name's Kenny Imafidon. I'm born and raised in Peckham. I live with my little brother called George. My parents come from Nigeria. And in terms of my life story, so I've grown up Peckham all my life. Done very well in school. Left school 12 GCSEs. Studied philosophy, politics, economics, and history. Went to jail under Joint Enterprise when I was 18. Just when I turned 18, came out. Told my friends they got life, we were on my case. I came out, worked on a crazy report called the Kenny Report, done 3 reports, left with a 3-year degree in law, and then the rest is history. Now I sit on the board of Children in Need, other charities, a chair of one called City Gateway, and I run an agency called Clearview Research. And I've met a lot of amazing people across the world. That's hopefully that works.
Excellent. 45 seconds.
Okay, like 15 seconds left.
No, we can stop there because now we can go into a bit more of the detail.
Yeah.
So people know a bit more about your a summary about your highlights there. Can you explain, just for those who don't know, what do you do day to day, and what boards and trustees positions you currently hold? Yeah,
that's cool. So in terms of day to day, so I run a research company, as you know, Clearview Research, which does research, as the name suggests, as well as strategy work. So we more or less focus on gathering culturally informed insight from diverse audiences. So all that basically means is that we do our best to speak to people who are not usually engaging in the research process. So that's our main day to day. And then on terms of the boards, I sit on the board of BBC Children in Need, Strength Within Me, which it does work with children who have grown up in homes where domestic violence is present, Spark Inside, where I'm a trustee. I've been on there for about 2 years, as well as City Gateway, where I'm the chair of, so which is actually not too far from here. So those are like the 4 main, and then I'm also on the advisory board for Pair Power, which does work in the criminal justice space, and the Queen's Commonwealth Trust.
Amazing. So how did you get into all those different positions? I know you've been doing it for the last couple of years. So how did it start, and like what's the responsibility? So in terms of like the board stuff, so I started out when I was 19. So the first board I went on was British Youth Council. So I started that when I was 19, and then I just not really stopped. I just have been on different boards, but obviously on every board I've done like 3 years or longer. But for me, I guess I was blessed and fortunate to start from young and just learn the game from early. Yeah. Now I'm 27, so it's been a long while. So the most recent one, which one was that? That was was it March, April sometime?
The chair of City Gateway, that's recent. So I was already on the board. I just got elected as chair after.
And what does that mean for people who don't understand the difference?
So the chair of the board just basically means that I just lead the board of trustees in terms of the whole charity. So we are basically there to ensure that the mission is actually fulfilled. We don't deal with the day to day. We more or less ensure that the strategy is being fulfilled and set that vision and strategy for the rest of the organization. But we don't do nothing of the day to day. We don't get involved in that.
So just give a sense of the scale or the size of that organization.
As a City the City Gateway is around 2 to 3 million pounds organisation, and mainly working in East London. So now we're based near East India Docks. That's where we got office space near there. We're working with young people, women and their families, helping them to get into education or training or some form of employment. Obviously in terms of children in need, obviously we will be well more known. That's
We give around 40 to 60 million a year in terms of to support charities. I think we support around 3,000 charities across the UK in terms of providing them with funding.
So are you one of the youngest on the boards?
Yeah, for all of them, yeah.
Yeah, and how does it feel like to be on the board with such senior people in senior positions, and you coming in with less experience than those who are already on the board?
So that's interesting that you say less experience. I feel like, because I've done it for a while now, sometimes I'm actually more experienced than some other people. So it's been, in the beginning, it'd been very different, but actually, there are a lot of people who are joining boards now in their 40s and 50s. So even at the board I sit on now, I probably have the longest board experience on one of them. So it's actually, like the board game is a whole different board game. It's not about professional life, it's actually understanding governance, which a lot of people don't have experience of, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's, but it's definitely, being young, it doesn't faze me, to be honest. It's like I've just got used to it. Obviously at first it's weird, right, because you're in these rooms and you have this sense of power and privilege now that you now have. However, it's like you're talking to people, or people are having to kind of really take what you say on board. These people could be your parents. I mean, they could be your mum or dad. But I've overcome that now. It's what I took in this book. What's it called? The Magic of Thinking Big.
I love that book.
Talk about this whole thing of like, if you are doing things very well and you're being successful, you should be comfortable with people who are older than you, working for you, or anything else. So I've always taken that on board.
And would you encourage young people to go on boards? And if so, what are the practical steps to do that?
Yeah, I would encourage everybody, young people, older people, but particularly young people, just because a lot of boards, I think when you look at the makeup of most boards, I think under the age of 30, less than 3%, particularly on charity boards, are under the age of 30, and between 18 to 24, I think is 0.5%. So it's crazy that the lack of representation. So I definitely encourage people. In terms of board roles, you just have to keep your eyes open. You have to subscribe to newsletters and look at platforms where they share these board opportunities. And like, I feel like you actually have to be alive to it and be proactive, and also like make it known to people that you want to do this. If you are on those particular networks where you can do that, people can come to you with stuff. But there's definitely sites that people can go on and just be looking at, okay, does this work for me, doesn't it? Also, it's very hard to do, it's not easy as well, right? So you need, I guess, if you do know someone else who's on the board, you might want to ask them to mentor you and help you with your application. And but definitely you can read up about it. There's a lot of material from like the Charity Commission, Association of Chairs. There's a lot of different websites to go onto that you can learn more.
Yeah. So what achievements are you most proud of?
Yeah. So the first one I would say is in terms of securing my first work experience, which I secured off my own back in City Hall with Valerie Shawcross, who was an assembly member at the time in Greater London Authority. So that's that building that people can see in Tooley Street, where the Mayor of London is. So yeah, that for me, I think I secured that when I was 17. That was like a big deal, like just being in that space. Cause, yeah, I'd say that the Kenny reports, I feel like doing that was definitely brilliant. It's just like, yeah, just glad I just made it happen. What was it there? What was it? Getting the scholarship to go to uni 3 years through the Amos bursary. Definitely, that was big. Like, particularly for me, is that when you hear like scholarship, tuition fees, that's what you see in them American movies. You know what I mean? That one black guy that gets. Yes. So like seeing that I could actually do that. That was like amazing. And then I guess it's not necessarily me. It's something I'm proud of. It's not necessarily me, but I would say like the fact of personally like my brother, how I feel like this is what I mean about when we talk about like social capital and building that. How like I got my scholarship, then my brother got a scholarship as well, and he got like, I don't know, 6 others. He ended up getting 6, 7. So for me, it was like actually just the importance of just like when you do things and how that could just become normalized. Like, because, and I really feel like just being a catalyst for that, I'm definitely like proud of that. And then I guess also just giving my mum peace, right? I feel like she's definitely had the ups and downs, particularly with me. And the fact that she can now just live her life freely and this all sweet, she's got no headache, no nothing. For me, I'm definitely proud. Like
No, really good, man. How do you define success in your life?
That's good. For me, I would definitely I was thinking of, I got like 2 definitions, but
you gave me one really good one, but I'll tell you
that
when I'll tell you that when you tell me yours again. Or tell me the one that you told me. If you don't remember that.
Yeah, you tell me that.
No, I'll wait for your response. Though.
My response. I'm gonna say, living life on your own terms.
That's it.
Yeah, for me, that's what I would say. Like that's and that for me is, I would say there's a barometer for success. Is definitely based on that.
So what do you mean by living life on your own terms that makes you feel successful?
So I feel like in terms of just like how much of what you're doing in your life and how you're spending your time represents the things you actually like want to be doing. And when I say that, obviously the things you should be doing in life that you may not like to do. I mean that comes with that's just life. But in terms of like for me personally, it's like the work that I'm doing, I actually love to do that. Like there's so much opportunity, freedom, and things that I can do. Like I don't feel locked into anything. Like I'm committed to various things, but I don't feel like caved in by anything. Like I feel free, man. There's so much opportunities.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And that's, once you said that to me, that was been my mantra. That when am I able to, if I feel like I'm living life on my own terms, going on holiday when I want to, I'm working at the companies that I want to work for, I'm spending time with the people that I want to, then I feel successful. I feel like
it's even like this podcast you're doing now. It's like this is something that you really wanted to do, and like you're doing it, right? And that's really, it's not like, for me, it's all and I feel like I prefer that definition because it's about you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to your lowest moment, and
is it moments or moment?
Moments.
Okay, moments. Okay.
Yeah, let's give them that. Yeah, let's give them the real, because again, it's growth moments. I'm trying to I brought you on specifically because you've got a transformational story in many different areas of your life, and I really want people to understand how they can turn their life around. Because it's when you feel like you have no choice, when you feel like you need a helping hand, or you need a savior, or you need hope, but you don't have it. You don't like. You were in those positions and you were able to turn your life around, and I want to show that it's real, basically. So any situations, let's you can start from wherever you want, but just talk to me about your lowest moments and how did you overcome them.
So I think so. Remember, I'll give 3 just for the sake of it, and 3 is always good. So I'll definitely say so. 1, so obviously when I gave my 1-minute summary, which is 45 seconds technically record. But so when I gave the summary, I feel like, so for me, definitely going to prison under joint enterprise when I was just turned 18, May the 7th, 2011. Then obviously 2 days after, being being sent to prison, more or less. So for me, I would definitely say that was definitely the lowest moment. Mainly one, like, was just going to prison, then also going to prison for a murder and 6 other charges. For me, it was just like, just a rock bottom moment, because that's just not what I was expecting for myself, or what anyone was expecting of me either. So I would say that for me has definitely been a low moment. Guarantee that. It's the biggest one. The rest of them, they're terrible, but it's not like that, where actually you could be spending the next 30 years of your life within those 4 walls. That's crazy.
So to talk to us about what happened, how did you find yourself in that situation? How did you survive and turn it around?
I'm definitely going to give the short version.
Okay, it's up to you.
No, I'm only saying that more just because of, so in terms of what happened, so obviously there's a murder happened in my area. So 2 of my close friends, they got arrested for it. And then another 2, a couple months later, then I got arrested and charged for under joint enterprise. 2 days after turning 18 myself. So at the time I was in college studying philosophy, politics, economics and history. I was ready to go to uni to study PP, philosophy, politics, economics. And this is the year before like the government were gonna change it from $3,000 to $9,000. That was like the last year to get in. So I'm thinking, this is definitely not brilliant timing. No. But obviously, so the case, obviously I got sent to Felton prison, and then obviously I spent 6 months on remand. But obviously during that 6 months, it was like I was ready to do my A-levels and I had to stop. But I literally fought to do my A-levels in prison. Then I was the first person to do my A-levels in Felton prison. And even when I was doing that, that was even crazy, because I guess not just being the first person, but how much resistance that I got just trying to do my A-levels. But happily, you know, I had a real advocate in there, a woman called Joanne Hodgson, who really supported me to make sure like I push through with this and get it done. So I'm definitely grateful. But I would say, yeah, for me, like spending 24 hours a day, you know what I mean, in a cell, this is like, I mean, that's crazy. Like day in, day out, and not knowing, obviously hoping and praying that obviously you come out, but you just don't ever really know, right? You see miscarriages of justice all the time, so you never know. And for me, that was definitely like a low moment for me, and obviously just putting my family in that situation, obviously, and yeah, it's just not, it's not the place you want to be. I mean, who wants to be in prison?
So why was it a misjustice, and how did you overcome it?
No, I'm saying that, so I was acquitted like halfway during the trial by the judge, because to be honest, there was no substantial evidence or anything really against me. That's the honest truth. Like, so that whole case dropped like halfway during the trial.
No, that's not normal, isn't it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So yeah, that was definitely crazy. Definitely when you talk about low moments, 100%. And I still remember that like yesterday, and that was when I was 18. That's almost like 10 years ago.
And what did that experience teach you?
In terms of when you talk about lessons learned, I guess one, definitely the importance of life, right? Because actually so much, you realize how much things are just vanity and meaningless. That's the honest truth, because when you're in there, you don't care about so much things, you just really care about the things that are important, whether that's the people that genuinely care about you, your family, your loved ones. There's a lot of desires that people pursue out here that you don't care about. And I feel like for me, that it definitely taught me just how much things are just vanity that people are pursuing. Even me myself, I've been guilty of pursuing and kind of like idolizing when actually like I don't need to. And I also feel like that whole sense of being able to overcome everything I did overcome then has obviously built me to be the person I am today, right? Because if I feel like I can win a battle like that, what else? I mean, it's not like I wish that happened to me, but the fact that it has happened to me, I've come out this way, is turned me into a whole different type of person. How I see life is totally different, right? I feel like I've got a second chance at life, whereas I mean, people don't feel that unless they, I don't know, they died and they come back. You know what I mean? So it's a whole different way to live. So my seriousness of life and how much I value it and want to enjoy it, it's going to be very different just because of the depths that I've been to and how low that low has been.
And talk to me about why you started the Kenny Report, because that was right after you came out. So what made you think, you know, a young guy just out of prison, you know, wrongfully convicted, you know, could write a report that got, you know, spoken about in Parliament, it got published, it was in the newspapers. You know, how did you talk to us about that whole? So
in terms of the report, so ironically, so what actually inspired me, I actually had a mentor, Jonathan Toy, who before I went to prison, like on remand, he basically done his own report, which he done like in the council, and obviously like the Home Office really picked it up, and like they were really like trying to work with him, and he was doing a lot of advisory work, and obviously he took me under his wing and really just showed me that whole game, and I thought, right, I should just try to do this myself as well, like, but not take a different approach to what he's taken, but take the similar approach to writing a report, but take it like a different slant and style. And that was really it, right? So that inspiration really from him, and then seeing actually a lot of decision makers, that's how they are influenced through reports, not like through a sick movie or entertainment. I think a lot of times when you're young as well, obviously like we're very big on being creative. Like a report is not necessarily the most creative thing, however, it is a way of how you can influence those who do make important decisions. And that's what really got me involved in that space, because obviously I could have thought, let me do a sick movie, and yeah, honestly, I learned so much doing that, and through doing that I met so much amazing people. Do you know what I mean? Even my first report, I got to like interview obviously Sadiq Khan, who's the Mayor of London, but that time it was just like an MP. I mean, people like Leroy Logan, who was, they started film on him on Small Axe last week. Like, all these people, like, when you think about where they are today, these are people I was able to interview during my time on my first report. And
what was the report about?
So the first one was about how does politics and economics affect gangs and CSU violence across the UK, and then the second one was about is politics for young people, looking at the political landscape and the lack of representation of young people and how much influence that we don't have but that we should have given our proportion in the society and everything else. The third one was just, that was different. That one, I was the editor and I brought in 24 other authors who wrote on various different areas of like that young people are affected by. So that they talked about criminal justice, employment, education, the whole lot.
There were two other low moments.
Two, yeah. So to give two, so one, I would say another one. I'll say, yeah. So business-wise as well. So obviously our business has like done very well, and this year has been like a brilliant year despite obviously the context we're in. But I would say definitely like, yeah, running a business, we've definitely had our highs and lows, and the lows to the point of where there's literally like nothing, as in God knows, a few pounds left in terms of money that's actually yours. And for me, like being at that point and still being able to like bounce back, for me has also taught me so much about resilience. And we got to that point a couple years back. So when like, I don't know, like COVID came, lockdown and pipelines got missing, everything else, we had that resilience in our DNA already. Like we've been here. This wasn't even as hard as the last time, because like we've been there, now we've got like a brand, so it's just I'll definitely say that low moment though, of getting literally to a few pounds, you know what I mean, after doing so well, that was definitely crazy. And that was definitely, but like I said, the bounce back and how that's also helped us, like how this year has planned out right in the beginning has been amazing in terms of our resilience and adaptability.
So how do you deal with the haters? How do you deal with negative people, with the jealousy that some people have of your success, of your just the type of people that you know, the access that you have? How do you deal with that?
That's fine. This answer is gonna sound so like blasé and typical.
You don't care in it.
I don't care though. That's what's so funny. I just like, you know, like come back to that when we talked about like success, about living life on your own terms. Yeah. It also means that you're living free from the opinion of others in order to do that. And I feel like as part of that, you have to get accustomed to, people are always gonna have a position in terms about what they think of you, right? And for me, it's like all I can do is just try my best, continue to examine my motivations behind why I do particular things, but at the same time it's like I'm just trying to serve and just do my thing. It's not like, but like I said, I already know I'm not going to please everybody. So I mean, for one thing I do, some might think that's arrogant, or some might think it's easy for you to say. Like there's so much things that people can go and say, but I already know. It's that you have to go into this game knowing that you're not going to please everybody. And I think it's different. And I really, when I took my emotional intelligence test, I saw it. My people pleasing is actually so low. That's why I can genuinely say it makes sense why I don't, because I'm not there to please people. I want people to be happy. I want to serve people. I'm not there to please people and try and make everyone else happy, but not myself. And I feel like that. But with the haters, I feel like at the same time, it's, look man, if anyone's hating it, that just means you're insecure about yourself. You got your own things to do with. And it's like, yeah man, I honestly, I'm doing for the people who love me and care. Like even people say, yeah, do it for the haters. You did it for the haters. That means you're feeding off. So you ain't got no haters, you can't do what you're doing. That's essentially what it means. Whereas for me, I have a real life offline, and if you're gonna get any constructive criticism, let it be from people who actually know you. I mean, those are the views and opinions that I actually genuinely care about.
So, faith is obviously a big part of your life. Being a Christian, how has that impacted your journey in life, whether it's entrepreneur or just your walk in life?
Yeah, so for me, like faith has definitely been big in terms of just my own like character development journey. But even in terms of like when you talk about entrepreneur life, 100%, I've definitely had to have faith in God that something is gonna fall through and come through. And like even I was having a conversation with Berfi earlier today, my business partner, even talking about like a new hire that we need to make. He was like, make sure this is a like rational decision, not like a faith-based one. And obviously he's just based on that because he's like, look, I know you like to do things out of faith. And for me, it's also like, I just really try to put in practice in everything I do, right? Whether it's in my professional life or personal life. And it does like enable me in terms of having that compass in relation to know like how should I live my life. And it also allows me to know the, what's the word, like to have guidance just on that journey of living life on my own terms, but still not trying to be God. I mean, I'm trying to live my life on my own terms within this framework, and yeah, that's how I'd say it is. But it's definitely has been. I feel like the walk in journal is never easy. Like anyone that goes and advertises that, I don't know. I feel like actually it's definitely been one of struggles, trials, temptations, distractions, left, right, and center. However, at the same time, it has been one where I've learned the beauty of grace, and because I've experienced it, it also allows me to, and helps me to be able to offer that to others as well, which I think for me is very important to not. I mean, and also just to show others love, and that's actually for me very important. Not just the people who love me, but just to show it to people in general. It's definitely changed a lot about me. Like the Kenny of 2020, do you know what I mean? Is a whole different Kenny in 2010. I was like two completely different people in terms of just my attitude, mindset, and just the heart that I've got now for people compared to then.
Tell us something that nobody knows about you.
That's something that people don't know. Actually, yeah, talking about faith. So in terms of my faith journey, one of the things which I did do actually, I did actually go in like a faith-based leadership course. This is about 2 years ago. Yeah, that's actually something that I did. I actually really enjoyed. Something very different to what I thought I would ever do if I were in a leadership course. But actually, I feel like it was very important, particularly on my own personal journey, to do that, because actually it's important for me to know, like, how can I still maintain being a leader but not losing those principles, do you know what I mean, which are core to my faith. So I feel like that's what people don't know, but this is also the importance of why you should do things, right, and do it for yourself. Like, I didn't do that, didn't go out publicizing. It's just something which I just did because it was important to me and my own journey. Do you know what I mean? I didn't do it so I can now get this job or do whatever. It's just like a personal investment.
Yeah.
Talk about personal investment. Another thing I would say, like, I definitely spent over like 10K easily on like my own personal development. Easy.
So talk to us about people who are entrepreneurs, who want to be entrepreneurs, who are entrepreneurs. What advice, like, just talk about your experience being an entrepreneur and how you found it running your own business.
So I think entrepreneurship for me has been definitely a fascinating journey. I feel like there's a lot that I've come to learn only by being in it. I think it's definitely a over glamorized and sensationalized route for people to take. I think a lot of people do not have a real true sense of actually the amount of risk that you're taking on and the difficulty and actually the challenge. And I think that's actually underestimated. Like, even when I tell people, do you know how hard it is for you just to raise your salary now that you're making by yourself through selling your own product or service? Like, most people can't do that. Even when you look at the research, like 75% of entrepreneurs, I believe, they have no team. And like, it's very hard to build a business, something sustainable and trying to live. And that's a lot of, and for me, it's really learning in terms of like what it really takes to build something. Not what does it take to look after myself and make money. Because for me, that's just glorified contracting. That's not entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship for me is very much, it's a different type of spirit, and it's not really about you. It's about how do we get we to places. And I think a lot of times entrepreneurship can be painted, like I said, as this glamorous thing that it's really not. For me, it's definitely been an up and down journey. Like I said before, one of my low moments has been during my entrepreneurial journey, right? In terms of, it's one thing to make money, it's one thing to lose money. It's another thing in terms of when you have those dry spells where it's really dry, like Sahara dry, and you're thinking, where's this next check gonna come from? And actually, then for me, it's about how do you still maintain your nerves during those moments. And I feel like you definitely need a strong support base and a team, and it's really about, at the same time, making sure you don't begin to idolize what you're building as well at the same time. And for me, a big part of the journey has been learning, and I've learned that way more through the tough times, actually, that I'm so glad to know that my self-worth is not in any business that I have or that I'm involved in any way, shape or form. And I think it becomes very dangerous when you build stuff and you start, it becomes part of your identity in that way. Then I mean, once your ego gets consumed by it and it starts to be a reflection of you in that way, you're in a very dangerous place as an entrepreneur, 100%. Because for me, like, if business goes, I don't know, goes bust, I can't now be depressed as a result of it. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'll be sad, I'll be upset, I'm not going to say I'm going to be over the moon, but at the same time, my self-worth and is not caught up in it. And actually, being an entrepreneur has forced me in many ways to really, I would say, like, grow in terms of my own discipline and everything else, because now you got to do a lot of things yourself. A lot of times people say, like, oh yeah, but you work for yourself, but people forget actually, no, actually we work for all these clients. So like a lot of people, you just report to one manager, one thing. We've got to report to all these people, and you got to manage all these relationships. It's like, you're at KPMG, you understand, like, the partner system. You're basically doing that without having all those years of experience and everything else, and you're just going to jump straight into that. That's a hard game.
Yes. Very
hard. And so for me, it's that I'm still just learning things now and putting into practice. Like, I'm still building that track record. So I feel like it's definitely a patient game, 100%. It's not, obviously everyone obviously will tell you, some people will see stuff and they'll be like, oh, look at this person that done this. Like, you're naming real outliers. Like, everybody is patient, and you don't want, as an entrepreneur, for your business to be growing faster than you. Your own personal discipline, your character, how you live your own life is so important. Like, if you don't have to manage money personally for yourself, it's gonna show in your business and how you spend and how you just throw cash and do whatever. It's taught me so much. I now got to love numbers and Excel sheets. I didn't used to like that stuff at all before, but now you got to learn this, and I feel like it's that attitude of humility of how much you don't know, you're now going to know, and how much hard work there is that goes behind it that people never see.
Your business is about contracts. Like, you that's how you make revenue, through contracts. How do you win your contracts, and how do you keep your business staying afloat?
That's a good question. So in terms of contracts, a lot of our business is word of mouth, so it comes directly through recommendation. But in terms of winning them, obviously at the same time, you have to build those relationships, and you also have to be very clear in terms of where you can add value for that client, right? Whether that's through our research capacity or strategy capacity. And for us, that has been the key thing. But it's not just about winning the contract, it's also about how much, like, can you gain from this contract, right? And a big part of the entrepreneurial journey for me as well has been the importance of knowing your worth and knowing the value, right? And also making sure that you know what you're doing, so we don't sell our services in a commodity type way. So you may, I don't know, you may see companies that may do particular day rates or X, Y, Z, or say, yeah, come and do this £500, whereas for us, we're different. We're selling outcomes. How much that outcome means to you is how much we're selling it for. For you, that outcome might be 50,000. For this person, it might be 250. Yeah, but that whole point of knowing your worth has been key, because you might be selling a 250 grand service, but then you're selling for 50 grand because you can't really believe you're gonna tell somebody 250 and not feel like, oh my days. Like, you feel like you're bumping them, but you're not understanding the value that you're bringing. And this is why having mentors and other people in the space who have been on this journey as well can be very helpful and valuable for you to know how much these things cost, because it can be weird, right? You just come into, you may have not grown up in money or been seen or exposed to this stuff. Now you're asking people to pay you, I don't know, 200 grand for this or 100 grand. That can sound outrageous. However, at the same time, it's like, this is what you have to do. You have to be very comfortable, because a lot of people love to do the work, but when it's time to charge, like, they struggle. There's so much people I know who are doing brilliant work, but when it's time to charge, they just struggle, or they just give a fee that they think is acceptable, or like, but it's like, just push. Like, even like, it's trust, man, you see the stuff, and even like I know, like even like my mentees, like some of them, I tell them the same thing, and when they tell me about their price, I'll be like, yeah, cool, just deliberately double that, and when the next person comes, and just go for it. And honestly, you'd be surprised.
So yeah, you said a lot of good stuff there. How do you what's the biggest contract you've won? Do you mind sharing that?
Yeah, cool. So in terms of, I said, do you mind sharing it? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no. So in terms of, I guess that I can share one of them, 100%.
Yeah.
So we got one now. That should be like 100K. But that's trying to say. But even that is like, we can get 150K from one client. They've given us that, let's say just this year, this financial year, from the same client. This is one.
Recurring.
Yeah.
Yeah. And talk to us about how you valued your own worth and your own business. So did you just speak to your mentor and he says times it by 2, and then that was your
no.
theory?
That's what I just tell my mentees, that like it just really depends. It's about knowing your space, knowing what do other people sell, right? So obviously you don't want to be outrageous, right? It's like, I don't know, a phone. I mean, if you see everyone else charge the phone and 400, and if you say 1,000, then you need to kind of explain why is yours 600. Like, but for me, I guess it's about knowing your market and how much people are selling stuff, but then you being clear on what value you're bringing and why you are charging that. And I guess for me, it's also about having the confidence and understanding as a brand what kind of brand do you want to be. I remember I think we had this conversation like a while back. I think you asked me like what, and for us it's like we're just trying to be a premium brand, therefore we can sell things at premium prices. So the things that we may have done before, maybe for 12k, we can now sell today confidently with even almost half the work for 50k. Like that, because we're focused on being a premium brand. If you come to us, you're getting the bells and whistles. But I think a lot of it is to do with like knowing your market and also having people in your industry, right? So one of my mentors in my industry is a woman called Ginny, and like even with her, it has been about sometimes when I go through contracts, showing her and being able to say, look, like what do you think? What would you price this at? And then that can help me to have a benchmark. Because obviously it's hard, right? It's not, particularly like we have some even bigger contracts coming that we've never even had before. And it's like I've had to go and ask. And I'll never forget being one of the meeting one of these clients who hopefully we on board very soon. And like they didn't even blink at the price, and it was ridiculous. We've never asked for that money before.
That's amazing.
And it's definitely over 100k.
Yeah.
Well over. But it's like that, but you know what I mean? It's about having people around you that give the confidence, yeah, you can actually like charge that.
Yeah, and what type of clients have you worked with in the past?
Yeah, so we worked with Starbucks, NHS England. We've worked with what these people called Guys in St Thomas. So it's like the charity. We've worked with UNICEF, Vodafone Foundation. Yeah, those
Tinder as well.
Tinder, Uber on campaign. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
That's amazing, and like just going from like having that confidence, I think is the confidence key, but then the network to ask your mentors and etc. How much is this worth, and getting that gauge.
Yeah, and also having people who are already like they've grown their companies particularly so they know, right? So we're scaling. Our mentors company is obviously much bigger than ours. It may be different, but still in the same research space, so that's helpful. And I think a lot of time people struggle because they're not around people who can give them that advice. So it's something that they might just want to ask their friends, but maybe your friends don't know. Go to someone who understands the game and who can tell you, do it like this. And that for us has been, I'll give you an example. There's one contract we were gonna pitch for, and we were asked to pitch for. I remember I put a price of, I don't know, maybe 40k, and I said to my mentor, and she found another 15k that I didn't charge. And when I sent it to the client, they didn't even say anything. But that's a whole 15k I would have missed out on if I didn't share with my mentor to go and look and be like, and that just to show you that's 15. That's not little money. It's just to kind of show you in terms of that. That's why it's important.
Sick. What do you want your life to be about?
Great question. Impact, really. That's the truth. Yeah, definitely. I feel like in terms of the work that I do day to day, the boards that I'm sitting on, the work that I'm involved in, for me it's all about impact. How can I truly make a difference and make a dent in this world? And that's really what I feel like I want my life to represent.
You once said when telling the story of your life, make sure you're holding the pen.
Yeah.
So what are you writing on your paper and your story? What are you writing about your own life?
Well, right now I feel like I'm writing a lot, but I would say like if I'm to really like summarize, I think one of the things I would definitely say like my life story definitely shows is just that I feel like you can still achieve, like despite all the odds and despite everything like stacked against you, right? I would say like if you just knew about the first part of my life and that low moment that we discussed earlier, you probably would never believe that where I am today and the circles of influence that I'm part of and I'm able to do, it just doesn't add up. But I feel like actually for me, like with the right, this is why the mentors, everything else I'm so big on, because with the right support, do you know what I mean, and with God's grace, I really feel like actually everything is truly possible, and I would say that my life story is definitely a testament of that. That I really genuinely believe that everyone can make it happen, and you have to, really take control of your life. Like the past you can't rewrite, but the future, everyone is in control of that.
And what do you want written on your tombstone? Like, what does it look like? Like it's practically like Kenny did. Kenny did. I would say in terms of it's very much for me about, I know we spoke about it before, it's just that I definitely want to die empty. I want to know that everything that I had inside me is out there in the world, and that's why I do so much to like serve, give back, do what I can do, like really continue to push the boat out as far as possible, just for me, because to be honest, I want to be able to, I want to be able to fulfill my purpose. And for me, it's like everything I'm doing right now is an element, an expression of me fulfilling my purpose. So for me, it would definitely be like what Kenny did was fulfill his purpose. And for me, I really want to see how far can I go. That's what really excites me to keep going, to see how far can I take everything I'm doing, like to what level. And I know that everything I'm doing is not just for me. If I want to live a life just for me, my life would be extremely different, and I'd have definitely less headache in many ways. But for me, it's like the sense of, I would say, fulfillment I get from doing all the work, like even like the work that we do in prisons, obviously, that I know that you've come to as well. That for me is like, it's priceless. Like, obviously, me and like Lord Hastings been doing that for the past 4 years and a half. That for me is special. You know what I mean, we don't put on Instagram, talk about it in blogs or vlogs or whatever, but actually it's actually very important to me. Like, I mean, going there every 2 months, spending time with the men there, like, that's priceless. And for me, it's also like, but I think talk about like life story and what I feel like is important. There's a lot of great things that I feel like God will call you to do that may seem small, meaningless, but those are actually the great things. And that's where more time should be spent. It's not all the time about doing this big thing or doing this glamorous thing that everyone can see. I actually believe a lot of my impact is actually unseen. Anytime when people see stuff, it just happens to be, that's just one way things have manifested, but it's definitely not about that. And I feel for me, that's what definitely life has taught me. Just, those things that people think are small, meaningless, definitely do it. Like, and it's important. So talk to us about that mentoring program, which we're both part of, but you started for prisoners and inmates. So how did that come about?
So one of my close friends was actually on my case too, David. So he's actually in that prison there. So me and Hastings went to visit him about, must be almost 5 years now. So we just actually went to visit, just like a normal social visit, and then we got invited for Black History Month to do a talk. And then there was probably about 20 of us at the time, and then we just promised them that we'll come back, and we just kept coming back every 2 months. Also in the back of that, that's how like the whole My Brother's Keeper, in terms of then hoping the men there to have like mentors on the outside, so people like yourself who can support them along their journey, right? And not putting a timestamp on it, like, oh yeah, Ollie, can you do this for a year? But actually saying, just commit to 1 or 2 people and just take them on the journey. Because also, even though they're in prison, people forget they still need to grow mentally. And I mean, they still got their own personal development goals. So the change needs to start on the inside, not when they get out, right? And that's why we just did our best, obviously, in the prison to really push this, man. Obviously now we've got like 100, and obviously so we definitely need way more mentors. But you've seen it, right? Even when we've gone to play the football matches, whatever, it's especially, you don't even feel like you're even in a prison, or that you wouldn't imagine you're playing with people there who have done all sorts of crimes that you probably can't, you know what I mean, that get you the long years. But it's special, man. We've definitely seen a lot of them change their ways, transform, mature, and then it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, it's an amazing journey to be a part of, and thank you for bringing me along to that.
Okay, you're in it for life now.
Yeah, I am, of course. So we've shared stages before, whether it's One Young World or if it's just KPG or Michael Hastings. We've done stuff together, but to give a sense of the type of people and influence that you've had, talk to us about the most famous people you've met, but also the most impactful people you've met, and what has it done for you and your brand?
Cool. So in terms of,
I want people to know the level that you're operating at and trying to get to.
Yeah, it's gonna kill me.
So
I think in terms of fame, I don't think it gets more famous than the Queen. I can't think of. Yeah, so obviously I met the Queen, obviously, which you obviously know, so twice, which is like, I think that's probably must be a claim to fame by now, right?
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, twice before 30. That's so that I met Prince Charles twice, Harry and Meghan twice. Also, we got that photo that you seen. That's actually a hard photo.
That's a very good photo. I haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, go on Instagram still.
You see, they posted that. When they posted that, I said, "Damn, that is hard."
It's nice. It's nice. Still.
Who else? Dangote. That was sick. I met him with Hastings in Nigeria. That was sick. Yeah, that was sick still.
Yeah.
They don't get, for me, it's like in Africa, that's Africa's richest man. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else, man. There's people that just spring to mind right now, but it's definitely, I've definitely been able to be blessed to meet all types of amazing people. I met obviously the current Prime Minister now, Theresa May as well, Cameron. So I've been number 10 as well to meet meet them. Yeah, it's just. Even words when you ask, because I'm thinking around it even, but yeah, definitely.
And you know, you just so you say it so casually, I know, but it's a humbling experience, and you're grateful for all those experiences. What does it mean for you? Is it just like, does it mean anything to you that you're amongst these type of people coming from your background? Yeah,
so I think for me, it's definitely a blessing, right? It's not like something which a lot of people would dream. Do you know what I mean? 0.whatever% of the population will ever meet the Queen and shake hands and do whatever. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So for me, like, it's definitely a blessing. But at the same time, I think for me, it's also about the importance of, when you're meeting these people, understanding as well, not just about being starstruck, but also how can you build those relationships to try and influence them for good, right? And do you know what I mean? So it's just about, you don't ever want to be in the room just for optics. And just for, you know what I mean, you actually want to, so even like with the Harry and Meghan stuff, we actually do work with the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, which I mentioned before, which I sit on the advisory board, so I'm constantly like working with the CEO and do my best to support in terms of what work can we be doing. So for me, it's just about like that active engagement. Like, it didn't, like, even the stuff that we did an interview that time with them, it didn't come by just because like, oh yeah, I just roll them out and do it. It's actually, you're actually doing purposeful work, and that's how those opportunities come about. So for me, it's really about, as long as I don't mind who I'm meeting, because obviously for me it's about learning from them. Even with like Dangote, I learned a lot in terms of his work ethic. You know what I mean? Even at his age, he's still getting up at like 5. He's still he's just in the band. He's going hard. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh yeah, now because this is motivated, he's just resting. He's going ham. I mean, there's people like in our age group that still ain't got that type of energy.
Crazy.
So for me, it's like, but that's inspiring. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's also the inspiration as well that you can get until you meet people like that who've just taken this game to another level.
How do you use that to motivate yourself? Do you just, like, where does your motivation come from?
So I feel like there's motivation everywhere. I know a lot of times, sometimes people are like searching for it, but maybe for me, in my case, I'm surrounding myself with people who are all doing their thing here and there. But also for me, motivation is, like I said, I want to see how far can I go. That's the truth. I want to, how far can we take this? Like, I got no limits on how much impact, how much lives I want to touch, how much money I want to make. You know what I mean? So you have to have limits on certain stuff, but certain things, definitely, I'm out here for it.
Yeah, maybe even how far it can go. I'm thinking, my mind for you would be like having your own name as a day, a national holiday.
Damn, see, you know what I mean? See? Hey, do that. That's a great idea. Yeah, I never thought of that, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he knows. Like Martin Luther King, right?
Yeah, that's it. He knows. Right.
And that's a good achievement, man. That's
if they did that for me,
legacy there.
Yeah, I'd speak to the Queen about that one.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool, isn't it? How do you manage your time and commitments with all the different boards that you're on, as well as being the CEO of your own company? How do you do that?
You know, I feel like I just have to starve way more distractions than other people. I feel like, and that's why I feel like I'm so like forced to be disciplined, right? So I can have enough time to make sure I do the things I need to do. I think a lot of people actually have the time to do way more. It's just they spend their time doing other stuff, like. And to give you a great example, like a lot of time I tell people, like, you know, on the iPhones, obviously because you're trying to diss my BlackBerry, but on the iPhone, which I do have, you know, like when you check like their screen time, you see what people are doing. So much people, the time I go to social media, I go to Netflix, they're spending mad hours. If you cut back, some of them are moving like that, they work for Twitter, Instagram. Like you're on there in a whole week, you've done 36 hours. That's crazy. That's enough time to spend on the boards or do other stuff. So I feel like the time's there. It's about whether or not you make it a priority.
How do you manage social media? Because you, with all the stuff that's going on, how do you manage the good bits of it as well as the bad side of social media?
That's one thing I definitely limit. 100%. Like, honestly, I love, on average, across all platforms, not more than an hour in a week.
In a week? Or day?
Listen, seriously. It's long.
A week or day, let's clarify.
No, I'm talking about a week.
Wow. So what, 10 minutes per day?
Look, if I show my phone now, you see like, honestly, I'm posting and I'm out.
Post and go.
Post and go. Yeah. The only times when it goes above that is like on Friday, I get time downtown. Yeah. Whatever. But that whole Monday to Friday business, I'm not, do you know what? A lot of it is like, it depends on your bag. Social media's not paying me. There's certain things I want to see. When I want to see it, I go and see it. I go and have a little browse. If I got time, let me go and read the news. Let me go and do something. A lot of time, a lot of things that are there, it's just chat. And we just have to be honest. If I didn't see the photo today, it's not a big deal. I'll see it in 3 days. If you know what I mean, there's just, I know, so if it's really popping, guess what? Someone will WhatsApp it to me or send me a message. That's it. But it's fine. I don't mind like not being in the know about certain things or feeling like that whole, is it FOMO? And then I just feel like you need to understand how you want to manage social media. It's not by force. Like, I'm not saying I need to be fully disconnected. There's certain times when it can be funny, it can be lively, like when they were doing like the No Signal, Wizkid and Vibes. Wizkid and Vibes.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, also that day I was on Twitter, I was doing bare bands. I was like, but there's certain times it's funny, like get involved. I'm not saying don't, but more times than not, I would say minimize it. And also even with like the negative stuff, you choose who you follow. And I feel like every time people forget that, even if that means I'm following certain friends or family members, there's such a life, it's not that deep. You don't want to see their content or that kind of stuff's not doing you, then. But also sometimes it might not even be other people, it might just be you. Maybe you got particular insecurities or things about you that you've not dealt with, and it's not about social. For a lot, it's not about social media. Just when you go on, it's a trigger for something that you've actually not dealt with. So that's what I would say. But yeah, for me, for the healthy balance, I just keep it.
Yeah. What books allowed you to grow beyond your everyday self?
What books have I loved? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I definitely love, and that's why I would ensuring that the men also that are working in the prison, that they're reading that 100%. So that's 1. 2, what book did I also enjoy? Do you know, every time when I meet people, particularly of faith, like I always tell them actually, like I also say the Bible. I think, to be very honest, like so much people who even believe in God and they actually don't read and pick up the Bible for themselves. That's like the honest truth. So I feel like for me that has been, even for me, just the importance of reading the Bible for yourself, not waiting till like Sunday and hearing what the preacher's got to say, but actually reading it, picking it up, learning, growing for yourself. Another book, what book do I love that was really good? Even Tony Robbins, Awakening the Giant Within. That's a great book. Very long, but it's great. It's got a lot of practical guides and exercises, and yeah, so that's why I definitely love that one. Yeah, them 300%.
And 3 practical steps for personal growth.
Oh, 3 practical, yeah, easy. 1, obviously, get yourself a mentors specifically. So I feel like we've spoken about that extensively today. So I feel like that's definitely number one. Two, I would definitely say in terms of like, learn to be very honest with yourself. And I would say a big part of doing that, which probably links to point 3, is really the importance of journaling, and actually the importance of that, having that time every day to self-reflect on you, on your day. Like, do you know what I mean? What have you done well? What would you want to do better? And just having that space where you can express yourself and be the real, honest, vulnerable you. And I feel like it's very important to have that space. So I would definitely say that. Yeah, for me.
You journal every day.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, without fail, right?
Yeah, so yeah, we keep getting at it. And that's what I'm saying, for me, that has just been like, it's really helped me to have such a high level of self-awareness of what I know about myself, and also how much I don't know, and also like how repetitive I can also be in particular things. And yeah, it's honestly, it's the best way, right? Because you can go and look back through your journals and see, right, you might have been banging on about the same thing for how, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a very, I would definitely say like journal, definitely get mentors. And if I'm going to say a third one, I think the importance of just who you hang around, like, I mean, being selective with those who you spend most time with. 100%.
And what advice would you give your younger self?
My younger self, great question. I guess, yeah, easy. Be patient, man. You definitely get to the bag. I can say that. But no, 100%. I think definitely about being patient. 100%. I feel like patience, and I know we spoke about rest in the beginning, but just learning to take time to smell the roses on the journey. Don't just always be rushing to the next thing. Take time to take things in, and I've definitely got much better at doing that. But when you're just so like, yeah, don't let it all be about ambition. Like, actually take time to smell the roses and to be proud of yourself. And for me, that's why I said the patience is important, because you're thinking about the long game. It doesn't mean too much then to take a moment out to be like, oh, this is brilliant, like, well done. Sometimes just like you just do it, it's like, okay, cool, what's the next thing? That's not the way to live life.
Cool. Kenny, this has been awesome.
No, thank you, bro.
Thank you so much for sharing your truth, sharing your journey, your experiences, your highs, your lows. It's been a blessing to hear it from you. And also the journey that you're going on. I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people that you've impacted their lives, you know, in the biggest senses, providing them opportunities. I know you help people not just in prison but outside, and giving them employment opportunities. I know you do that, but also just constantly messaging them daily on whether it's inspirational quotes that you send your friends and your group, or it's just checking in on them intentionally. I know you do that because you do that with me as well, and all the other stuff that we don't see behind the scenes that you do. I want to thank you for that, and your servanthood, and just your strong faith as well, as being an example Christian. And I just want to say thank you, and I hope people who listen to this got something from it as well. There was many things that I learned about you that I didn't know, and I'm glad to have you in my life as well. So thank you.
That's good. Shed a tear. Jake, you love me.
Calm.